Good afternoon and welcome to the special election 2006 presentation from 13 News, a gubernatorial forum between Governor Kathleen Sebelius and Senator Jim Barnett. Good afternoon. I'm Melissa Bruner, and we do have a very special Live at 5 half-hour plan for you today. Election day just a month away, and today your top two candidates for the governor's office. Incumbent Governor Democrat Kathleen Sebelius and State Senator Republican Jim Barnett are here to debate some top political issues for the day and answer some questions from you, our viewers. Candidates will have a minute and a half each to answer the first set of questions we'll be posing to them today, a minute each on some of the later ones. Of course, we also have opening and closing statement time planned for both of you today. We did have a coin toss to determine the order here. We will alternate back and forth from there. We have a timekeeper here, so everything will stay on track. Governor Sebelius won the toss. She has elected to deliver the final closing statement this afternoon. So your first opening statement today is from Senator Barnett. Senator?
Well, good evening. I'm Jim Barnett. I'm a farm kid from Redding, Kansas, a practicing physician for the past 24 years in Emporia, a school board member for 8, serving 4 years as president. I will share with you, as I felt then, I feel now, spending our tax dollars on education is the best way we can spend our money. I also have served in the Kansas Senate the last 6 years, and today, when we're normally watching weather forecasts, I want to talk about the forecast for the future of this state, where we can have a bright and shiny forecast for Kansas, compared to some dark clouds that are over this state now, for an economy that does not keep up with the rest of the nation, where we lead in government growth, but we are 50th in private sector growth. For a time where the state has become friendly to illegal immigrants, we need to change that. From a time when we have 300,000 uninsured Kansans 4 years ago, and we have 300,000 uninsured Kansans today. I want to help lead this state to a better day, a brighter day. Thank you.
Governor Sebelius, 1 minute.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for having us both here tonight, and thank you to the Kansans who are tuning in on this important discussion. 4 years ago, I asked for the opportunity to lead the state in a new direction, and I'm proud of the work we've been able to do together. We started with an audit, uncovering waste and inefficiencies, preventing a tax increase, and giving our businesses confidence to create new jobs. Brought the legislature together to make an historic commitment to our children's schools, and have worked on safety and security issues in our neighborhoods for our military families, and made progress on health care, affordable health care for all Kansans. I'm proud of the work we've done together, and we did it by turning aside the partisan politics of the past and uniting around a bright vision for Kansas. So I look forward to the discussion about where we can take this state in the next 4 years.
Let's begin that discussion with some various issues that have been discussed these past several weeks, and I'm sure will be in the weeks ahead. One topic that you've been focusing on a lot has to do with immigration, and as we've had this discussion at the federal level and the state levels as well, we're curious your thoughts on what states should be doing to address the situation and the issue of illegal immigration. You will have a minute and a half each to answer this question, and we hear first from from Governor Sebelius answers this question first.
Well, thank you, Melissa. I think it is an important question to address, and there's no question that illegal immigration is a national crisis. We have way too many people accessing our borders and coming across the borders each and every day, and I was happy that Congress finally stepped up before they adjourned to at least put some border security in place. I was pleased to send the Kansas Guard to be part of the backup to the Border Patrol. But frankly, that's a failure of the federal government. It's a failure that has been in place for 5 years. And the border governors, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, are very united in what needs to be done. We also need to have tougher actions on employers who intentionally hire illegal workers. We had a bill that the legislative majority chose not to pass this year. We've gone to work with the Department of Labor and the Department of Revenue to crack down on people who are cheating the system, avoiding paying taxes and taking advantage of illegal workers, but we can do more. But Congress has to go back to work and pass a comprehensive reform. It is not something we can do a state at a time. I'm united with the Western state governors, with the border governors in urging Congress, in urging the President to enact immigration reform, and we'll certainly support and enforce it here in Kansas.
Senator Barnett, immigration.
Thank you, Melissa. Let us all first realize every one of us in this nation is an immigrant. So we have nothing wrong or against immigration. It's the illegal part that we need to recognize, and we need to have a governor who recognizes that illegal means illegal. We should not be giving tax subsidies to anyone in this country illegally. So we should not be giving in-state tuitions when we have servicemen and servicewomen serving this country and their children are paying out-of-state tuition rates when we provide in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. The governor has supported that. I oppose that, and we will remove that law from this state when I'm elected governor. I do not support driver's licenses for illegal immigrants, as the governor has supported and proposed. We should not give any legal document to someone in this country illegally. We should require voter ID, picture ID, for all people voting so that we know that true Kansas citizens, true American citizens are electing the people that we have served in office, and the governor vetoed that bill. We need to speak English in this state and in this nation, and this is not to be harsh, but we need a common language. We need that to succeed, and English should be the official language of the state of Kansas. Thank you.
Thank you both for those answers. We are also focusing on some questions that viewers emailed in to us, and this came in various forms from Julie, Andrew, and Tracy emailed in wanting to know about the topic of education funding. We did just have a 3-year, $540 million school funding bill satisfied a Supreme Court order to give more money to Kansas schools. It also, though, has been creating some budget concerns, and so we want to know, can you and will you promise to fund that bill, and if so, how? A minute and a half to answer this question for each of you. First, Senator Barnett.
Well, thank you, Julie, and others for the question. An extremely important question. I am committed to education, and that's why I proposed in January a 4-year school finance bill, $495 million spread out over 4 years, and appropriated money for each and every year. That's how committed I am. Unfortunately, we have passed a bill that outspends revenues $800 million over 3 years and drives our state to unconstitutional debt. This is a bill that the governor has signed. This is a bill that she turned over to the Kansas Supreme Court and allowed them to appropriate your taxpayer money. They have not signed off on that bill because it's just a matter of time, and we'll be back in court with another lawsuit where people you do not elect will be appropriating your money. So yes, I'm committed, but how do we pay for it? The second and third year of that bill are not funded. It's another broken promise in the making unless we grow this state's economy, and that's why now more than ever, my targeted economic growth package is so important, so we can commit and pay for that bill, so we can pay for highways and we can pay for CAPERS, our state retirement plan that has a multi-billion-dollar unfunded liability and is now at risk. All areas of government have been shut out and are at risk because of this fiscal irresponsibility from the office of governor and in this state. Thank you.
Governor Sebelius funding school finance bill.
Well, Melissa, I really appreciate the question, and as you heard, the senator does not support the 3-year plan that the legislature passed, that I signed into law, and that the court has signed off on. I do. The most important dollars we will ever spend are on educating our children, on making sure that we have great schools in every community in this state, on making sure that our children are prepared for jobs for the future. There is no more important promise we can make to the future. After years of legislative neglect, year after year, the legislature refused to deal with school funding. We finally got legislators to step up to the plate in 2005 and again in 2006. The senator and his running mate both opposed the measure that passed the legislature and got signed into law and was approved by the court. I think that's an incredibly important distinction. If you elect Senator Barnett governor of this state, the promises will be broken to our children. I have every confidence we will fund this bill. We have continued to grow this economy. We are now running $100 million ahead of what was projected just in May. So I am confident that jobs will continue to grow only if we keep great schools, and that's a commitment I will not break.
Thank you both for that. Also on the topic of education, there's been much discussion about the No Child Left Behind Act and the burden that it tends to be placing on states. Some are even saying that states should opt out of it. The downside of that, others say, is that we could risk losing millions of dollars in federal money. How should Kansas address those No Child Left Behind concerns? Governor Sebelius, this question goes first to you, a minute 30 for each of you.
Well, this is a topic, frankly, that all governors are pretty united in discussing when we meet together on a regular basis. And for every state wants every child to learn as much as he or she can, every child to have an opportunity to have a great teacher and be in a classroom prepared for the future. I do think that some of the mandated testing requirements make it more difficult to teach Kansas children. We had great testing standards in place. We knew how to educate our kids. Kansas was always one of the top 10 states in moving children forward in high school graduation rates and having children go on to college. What we have now too often is mandated federal tests and no money to back it up. We also have a stigma that comes with No Child Left Behind called failing schools. Nothing could be further from the truth when teachers and educators are trying their best to make sure that we can lift all children to possibilities for the future. I think to stamp a school as a failing school is just wrong. So I agree with the majority of governors where we have to revisit some of the standards in place. We have to call on Congress once again to come to states with the money that was promised when this bill was passed. We would have an extra $120 million this year alone to fund education in Kansas, to work with our children to make sure that teachers have the kind of qualifications they need. So I'm committed to quality education, and I hope that Congress will revisit the somewhat unrealistic standards that are part of this mandate.
Thank you. Senator Barnett on No Child Left Behind.
Well, thank you very much. You know, if you visit with administrators and many teachers, they will tell you that there are some very good things about No Child Left Behind. And the good things relate to the following, that we want every child to learn. That's their future. That's our future. That's no better way than for us to plan for tomorrow in Kansas by educating our children. But some of the goals, frankly, are unrealistic and unachievable. And many teachers love teaching. They love their kids, but they hate the paperwork and the time taken away from the classroom. So we should not be teaching just to test. And that is one of the downsides of No Child Left Behind. And frankly, the goals, although laudable, are unrealistic and unachievable in the sense that by 2014, we have the expectation and actually the standard of achieving 100% proficiency in our schools. We would love to achieve that. We want to reach that goal. But if we cannot, if we do not, let's be realistic and let's not punish teachers, let's not punish schools. But we need to have continued accountability and assessment of how we spend those dollars so that we spend our taxpayers' dollars wisely and have results that we can prove and look long-term that we are succeeding in educating our children.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Something both of you have alluded to and already in some of your answers is the issue of the economy. How do we grow the Kansas economy? We've heard that it is improving here in Kansas, the economic condition, but comparatively, a report over the weekend pointed out that Kansas ranked 42nd in the nation in job growth over the past 3 years. So what do we do to jumpstart the Kansas economy? Senator Barnett, a minute and a half for each of you to answer, and the question goes to you first.
Well, Melissa, critical question, because so that we do not break the promise of funding our schools and do not make them any other promises, something that we cannot keep, we have to grow the Kansas economy. And I agree with the editorial board of the Topeka Capital Journal. This is an embarrassment to the state of Kansas that we rank 42nd in job growth. We don't keep up with our neighboring states, let alone the nation. And we have a policy that has been in place for some time where we have become a high tax state in the nation. And the governor's offer for school finance was to raise taxes $1.5 billion, to raise your property tax, to raise your sales tax, to raise your income tax, to charge you a surcharge to pay your income tax. That was her last school finance proposal. We need better leadership to grow this economy. Government has to live within our means, and we have to target tax cuts. The following things. First year in office, we should eliminate the death tax. People have paid that tax once. Once is enough. First year in office, we get rid of it. Number two, a 10% investment tax credit. Any business, large or small, that invests, write off 10% bottom line state income tax, unlimited carry forward. Start phasing down income tax for all workers and increase dependent exemptions, $500, so young families have more cash in their pocket. With leadership, we can do that, we can pay for schools, we can balance the budget, and Kansas can finally grow and catch up with the rest of the nation.
Thank you. Governor Sebelius, your thoughts on economic growth?
Well, Melissa, I'm proud of what we've been able to do over the last 4 years. There's no doubt that Kansas, like a lot of states, had a downturn after September 11th, and we lost a lot of manufacturing jobs and had a number of industries that were in very rocky shape. We've not only recovered from that, but are beginning to grow jobs again and have some incredible promise for the future. Our growth is actually receiving some national acclaim. We've been cited as a business-friendly state by a number of national publications, by a great state to do business in by a Relocation magazine, #1 in economic freedom by Forbes magazine, and most recently, Inc. magazine looked at all 26 states where governors are running for re-election and found that Kansas is one of the only 4 to get a 4-star for being a business-friendly state. So I think that sends a very positive message across this country. We've passed major initiatives for biosciences and are already beginning to see job growth. Most recently, Junction City landed Ventria Corporation, which is going to have a novel way to grow new products and make pharmaceuticals. We've seen job growth in ethanol development and in alternative energy, and our growth state product is actually running ahead of the Midwest and ahead of our neighboring states. So I'm pleased that we started with $12 million in the bank 4 years ago, and we ended this year with $733 million and historic commitment to education and no tax increase. That's good news.
Thank you very much. Now on to an issue that both of you have dealt with in your various capacities prior times in your careers. Governor Sebelius as a previous insurance commissioner, Senator Barnett through your continued profession as a medical doctor. Access to health care is what we're moving to next. The cost of health care skyrocketing. A gentleman named Tyson emailed in particularly concerned about teachers, but no matter what field a person is in, what do you propose to help them be able to afford health care? Again, a minute and a half for each of you to answer. We begin, Governor Sebelius, with you. Well,
I think this is a critical area and one that actually we have made some progress, not as much as I would like, and I'm afraid it's an area where the legislature too often has decided politics is better than helping the people of Kansas, but maybe that will change in the future. I'm hopeful that will be the case. We do have a cost containment commission with business leaders, providers, insurers working together on the 30 cents of every dollar that we have in overhead and paperwork costs. And they've made some real strides. In fact, I think they're about to come up with a common ID form which will eliminate a lot of the paperwork issues. We have 60,000 more Kansas children insured now than when I came in the door as governor. And that's progress, but unfortunately, the legislature and my opponent missed a great opportunity to insure all Kansas children 0 to 5. We could have done that this year, made a big step forward. That was blocked. We also need to assist small business owners. We have already in place the Business Health Partnership. It's a private sector purchasing pool that helps self-employed Kansans, small business owners, find more affordable care. Again, we made some steps last year. That progress was blocked this year, and I'm interested that my opponent did not support that and yet now supports a major new bureaucracy. But I'm encouraged that he's willing now to step up and help Kansans find affordable care. It's an enormous challenge and one that I think we can make great progress on working together. Senator Barnett, access to affordable health care.
Tyson, thank you. Thank you very much. During my 4 years as governor, my goal will be to make available quality health care to all Kansans and affordable health care as well. The governor and I do differ greatly on this issue. Her answer to health care reform is to expand entitlements and raise taxes, just as her answer to growing the economy is to grow government in this state. Here's how we should go about it. First of all, I want a Kansas health care connector developed, and this is not a bureaucracy. This is a way for you to own insurance policies and not the person you work for, because 80% of the uninsured in this state are working families. They churn, they change jobs, and they lose insurance. I want that insurance to be yours, so you carry it with you, and I want you to buy it with pre-tax dollars, and I want you to be able to obtain the benefits from both your husband or wife, your working spouse, so both of you receive those benefits into that health care connector where you can then buy insurance where you can be accepted, because right now insurance companies don't want you if you're sick. And we need to change that. We need to focus on wellness and prevention, youth smoking prevention, childhood obesity. We need to encourage health savings accounts. We change the pattern of how we spend health care dollars in this state and in this nation as well. And certainly, you need to have data available to you about quality and cost. As a physician, You should know what my charges are. You should know how well I practice medicine. We can change this state tremendously and reduce the uninsured under the next 4 years of my administration. Thank you.
Thank you both for that. We move on now to a section where these questions will have 1 minute for each candidate to share their thoughts on, so 1 minute each. First of all, 2 viewers emailed us with this question, Connie and Richard. They both want to know about your support for a cost of living increase for state workers, both current state workers and retired state workers. Again, 1 minute for each of you on your thoughts. Cost of living increase for state workers. Senator Barnett, we begin with you.
Connie and Richard, you deserve a cost of living increase. You also deserve a state retirement system that is secure. And because of the current leadership in the office of governor driving our state to deficit spending, slowing down our economy so we cannot grow our economy and afford schools and afford the other needs of this state, your pension is insecure and at risk. How do we go about changing that? We have to address the needs of this economy, get better jobs, better wages, better benefits for our people, and long-term allow you to have security with your retirement system and as well a cost of living increase. Because how can you keep up with the cost of living without that?
Thank you, Senator Barnett. Governor Sebelius, a cost of living increase for state workers.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and I am a big supporter of the state workforce. I, as a legislator, probably represented more state workers than anyone else in the legislature and continue to work on their health benefits in my 4 years as insurance commissioner. I think I'm the only governor in recent history, at least, who every year has proposed a budget with a cost of living increase in that budget. Typically, the state workers are considered last. If there's some leftover money, maybe we'll deal with you. We have actually lowered the number of state workers and asked them to do more with less, and I believe in rewarding the state workforce. We have underway a major cost study on how we pay workers for the future, making sure we have a 21st century workforce. We need to be able to upgrade their opportunities, make sure that they have pathways to success, and reward them well for the job that they do. So I'm proud to represent state workers. I'm proud of the work they do. It's been too long since we've dealt with retiree insurance and retiree COLAs, and I would like to be able to visit that in the future. It hasn't been possible given the tight budgets, but I am committed to making sure that's on the radar over the next 4 years.
Governor, thank you very much. Several people also asked about some social issues, in particular abortion. In what way, if any, would you support changing Kansas laws related to abortion? Again, 1 minute for each of you to answer. Governor Sebelius.
Well, Melissa, we have in place a framework of laws that I think provide a number of protections. I'm interested in the work we can do on prevention, and I think there's a lot of common ground. Certainly we've made some progress on lowering the number of abortions over the last 4 years, and I think that's good news, but more can be done. We know that having supports in place for women when they reach pregnancy is so critical. We know that wages and the kind of jobs they can get, to have affordable health care, to have job opportunities, to wrap some support around them and their families is absolutely critical. And to me, that's where the focus should be. That's what the state can help do with families and other providers, working toward that common good so that every child is wanted, every child is able to be born into a loving family. We've increased adoption incentives, increased opportunities for families, but I'd like to see that initiative move forward.
Senator Barnett.
Melissa, let me first of all make this very clear. I have spent the last 24 years of my life dedicated to diagnosing illness, to relieving pain, to preserving and prolonging life. So life is a fundamental value for me, and this is another contrast, another difference between the governor and myself. So I think what Kansas needs to look at is the following question. Do we want to be known as the capital of the nation or the capital of the world where late-term babies, healthy, viable babies with nothing wrong with the mother, are terminated, their lives are ended by the hundreds in this state? I do not think that is in the interest of anyone's health. I do not think that is consistent with Kansas values, and I hope the people of Kansas will look very seriously at the difference between their values and the difference between the governor.
Thank you both for that. We also have kind of a lighter question now. Time for you both to make your sales pitch. Tony emailed in this, and he wants to know, says you must convince a group of people to visit Kansas over any of the 49 other states. And he wants to know what you would say to convince them to come visit Kansas. 1 minute for each of you. Senator Barnett first.
Well, first of all, I hope he will fly into one of the major airports, because we have two great cities with Kansas City or Wichita. And from there, I hope after some great meals and some enjoyable time, I hope you'll come down to the Flint Hills, the most beautiful area, I believe, in this nation. When you look at the beauty of the hills, the rolling hills, the grasses, and the people as well are second to none in this nation. We have clean air, we have wonderful opportunities for entertainment across the state, open space as well. So we welcome you to come and bring your friends and make this your home as well. Thank you.
Governor Sebelius, your sales pitch for Kansas.
Well, it would be helpful to know what Tony's really interested in, but what I can assure him is whatever it is, we've got it here in Kansas. We're here in the heartland of America, easy to find, just point your finger right in the middle of the map, and there we are. As we proved this week, you can have 4 seasons in a week in Kansas. So if you miss the changing temperatures, come here and enjoy. I spent a couple of days over the last week at our wonderful NASCAR track in this booming development outside of Kansas City. So if you're a speed fan, you can come here. Went and saw the Rolling Stones on Sunday night. So for aging rockers like myself, that's available, as is country venues and music across this state. We have the best beef in the world, as is being discovered in Asia and across this land, but right here in Kansas we have beautiful scenarios and wonderful sunsets and the most fabulous people on the face of the earth. So I hope you stop in, you visit, and you get an opportunity to look at our state from border to border, because there's certainly something for everyone.
Thank you both very much for addressing a wide range of issues here during our time. We now want to allow some time for some closing statements from each of the candidates. And again, this is determined by the coin toss that we held earlier today. Since Senator Barnett had the first word tonight, Governor Sebelius will have the last word tonight. So we have 1.5 minutes each for closing statements now. And we begin with Senator Barnett.
Well, Melissa, thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity to join you. As I make closing remarks, I want to share just a little bit about my background in healthcare and as a physician, and how I think that impacts how I can better lead this state to a better future. First of all, I learned a secret that when people come to me, and they come to me with broken problems, with broken parts, they want answers, they want real solutions. And that's what I brought to this ticket, to this campaign for real solutions, for education, for growing the economy, and the issues of healthcare and many more. But what I learned was, if you listen to patients, almost always they will tell you what's wrong, or if you listen to their family as well. And that makes me look good for a couple reasons. Number one, if I get the right diagnosis, that's good, and that makes me feel good. Number two, they love you for listening. And what I've learned, as I have traveled this state and listened to many Kansans, they want leadership. They don't want slick commercials that mislead the public on whether or not someone provided leadership for school finance or saved $1 billion in paper clips. They want real solutions to the issue of education, of health care, of the economy, of illegal immigration. And that is what I bring to this ticket. So I ask you, if you think that the leadership that I will provide to this state over the coming 4 years is best for you, best for your family, best for the state of Kansas, then I ask for your vote on November 7th. God bless you. God bless this great state of Kansas. Thank you.
Senator Barnett, thank you. Governor Sebelius, your final thoughts.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and thank you to the viewers for tuning in tonight to listen to this discussion of very important issues. In order to reach the full potential of this great state, we must keep our commitment to fund great schools for our children border to border, and I will definitely live by that commitment and not return to years of legislative neglect. We have to continue to find waste in government and keep businesses growing in this state, and our economy is growing and booming, and I'm pleased about that success. We must continue to protect our neighborhoods and look out for our children. School safety is a new poignant issue, and we need to be mindful that our children need to be safe, and we need to accelerate our efforts on health care to make affordable insurance available for all Kansans. But we won't do any of this unless we unite around a vision for a brighter Kansas. You won't do this by electing someone who believes our best days are behind us. I believe so much in Kansas can be made great by building on what's already good. Our commitment to faith and family and communities, our belief in the life-changing power of education, our willingness to work together. I'm so grateful for the faith placed in me during the last 4 years, but I'm a believer that our best days lie ahead and that working together we can achieve great things. So I'm here tonight to ask for your support and your help, your prayers, and your vote. Thank you so much, and God bless the great state of Kansas.
We thank you both for taking so much time to be here with us tonight. And of course, in the days and weeks ahead, we hope people will continue to get to know both of you, your positions on the issues, your priorities in leading the state of Kansas. As they run this race, a reminder, they do not run alone. Governor Sebelius has a running mate in Mark Parkinson. Senator Barnett has a running mate in fellow state Senator Susan Wagle. So they will be out and about sharing their thoughts with you as well. And of course, we here at Channel 13 are committed to continuing to provide you coverage as we get toward the November elections. Also, to that end, we hope you will continue to stay with us here, because during this final month, these final weeks, in 13 News Live at 5 and our new 13 News at 4, candidates in some of the key races will be coming to our studios and sharing their thoughts with you. Both the senator and governor have agreed to do that as we get closer to election time, so we look forward to hearing from them. And also other races important to you, many other statewide races going on, attorney general, treasurer, insurance commissioner. They will be here along with some of the local House candidates. So we hope you'll continue to tune in for that in the weeks ahead. Meantime, make sure you are registered to vote, and then make sure you plan to vote on November 7th. For all of us here at 13 News, I'm Melissa Bruner. Thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned. The CBS Evening News with Katie Couric is next.
Thank you.